Nothing. For nearly 100 years, the Three Rivers Hospital watched over Skidmore Park in Three Rivers, Michigan. I never thought I would see the day when the building finally fell. Ever since I was young, the Three Rivers Hospital has been a part of my life, whether it being the birthplace of my aunt or my grandfather's final resting spot. The demolition of the Three Rivers Hospital was a long time coming, but one I was hoping would wait just a little longer. Welcome to The story of the Three Rivers Hospital begins in the early 1900s. During this time, the city of Three Rivers utilized the old Bonnie Castle as a hospital. But, only being able to hold around a dozen beds, the facility was quickly outgrown. Because of the increased need, in 1923, a fundraiser was started to finance the construction of a new hospital, ultimately completed in 1927. The initial hospital faced westward with a pointed roof. The hospital itself was owned by the city of Three Rivers, which also handled the operations and the budget, while the other tasks like maintaining staffing, accreditation, and continual improvements were managed by the hospital board. But with an ever-increasing demand, expansion was all but certain. Annexes were added in 1950, 1955, and 1959, raising the hospital's bed count to 94. The hospital continued operations up until the mid-1980s when it was decided a newer facility was required. Groundbreaking on the new hospital began in 1985 at the cost of $10,300,000. Tours of the new facility began in 1987, the same year the now old Three Rivers Hospital's doors were shuttered. Nobody knew at the time that the hospital would have become known as one of Three Rivers' greatest eyesores. During the closure of the old Three Rivers Hospital, the building was sold from the city of Three Rivers to Three Rivers Area Health on September 12th of 1985. After the closure, the structure was sold to the Magnolia Corporation. According to the Strugus Journal, during this time, a man from New York was relocating to the adjacent township Fabius. He came with plans to redevelop the property into an insurance or financial service office. Unfortunately, no money was ever put into the project and the building was left to deteriorate. No surprise, the owner failed to keep up with the property taxes, leading to the sale of the building on December 16, 2004, back to the city of Three Rivers. The hospital continued to go unused until Talks Development reared its head in 2015. During this time, the city won a grant to renovate the hospital into a 60-unit residential compound, complete with a restaurant and a community center. The Detroit developers planned on this original concept, with other ideas including student housing, condos, or townhomes for workers. The developers desired a place for workers new to the area to live, in hopes to retain more residents. The $50,000 funding came from the nationwide America's Best Communities competition. Developers hoped to advance in the competition and receive the $1 million prize, but this never happened. Furthermore, a price estimate for renovating only the oldest portion of the structure and demolishing the rest of the hospital was somewhere in the ballpark of $19 to $20 million. Soon after, talks of the project slowly fizzled out. Unlike many abandoned buildings that are tucked away from general view, the hospital was adjacent to a popular park and petting zoo. In addition, its close proximity to a widely used sledding hill is cited for many injuries through the years. So after 30 years of being abandoned, a demolition bid was finally opened on December 9th of 2021, before closing on January 5th, 2022, at exactly 2 p.m. The city received numerous bids, but accepted the lowest bid for $1,041,700. Said demolition was to be done by Doran Associates in Envirologic Technology. While the city was awarded the money for the demolition in February, asbestos removal was not started until June. The removal was halted in September when it became evident that 100% of the asbestos could not be removed. Moving forward, the rubble would be considered as hazardous and treated as so. Demolition commenced on November 15th of 2022. We visited the hospital a few times during the demolition. On November 25th, the oldest portion of the building was completely razed, with work on the newer structures beginning. We returned a little over a month later and found that most of the building had been demolished. And as of January 15th, 2023, the hospital has been entirely razed. I remember being a small child and climbing through the old hospital's window. I had the widest grin as my eyes rolled over the decaying walls. With every trip up to Michigan, I always loved seeing the building, whether it be exploring with my friends and finding the nursery where my aunt was born, or grieving with my family as we spread my grandfather's ashes in the nearby Rocky River. Ever since I began this channel, I have always dreamed of covering the old Three Rivers Hospital. After being abandoned for over 30 years, I didn't think they would actually tear it down. But standing in front of the rubble, a certain sense of finality washed over me. The world is constantly moving and changing, and everything must go. While we must move forward, it doesn't mean we can't enjoy what came before. The building will always be a part of my memory. Goodbye, the old Three Rivers Hospital.